Hello, welcome back to Wendy's Colouring, and today's video is mainly about my paint markers. So I've used my paint markers for a long time in my colouring, and they are something that, yeah, I use pretty much on every drawing that I work on. Totally useful, and I've got to be honest, I saw, I think it was Shell's Colouring last week, did a video on her Tulia pens. And I have been meaning to do a video on my paint pens for quite a while, and it kind of reminded me, oh yeah, I was going to do that. So I thought I would, particularly because obviously I've been using these that have been a big favourite this year, but I also got on Monday the extended set that goes with the original art marker paint pens that Artex did first. So the ones that basically, if I can get the lid off, the ones that basically look like that, this is a extender set that goes with. So I thought I'd show these, but I thought as I'm going to show these anyway, I may as well go through all of the paint pens that I've got and pros and cons and how I've found them and what I use them for. So if you want to particularly see the extended set and you're not bothered about all of Wendy's ridiculous pen collection, totally understand that, by all means fast forward. I'll put a time marker in the description for where I start showing this set in particular, if you're just interested in that and you don't want to hear the history of Wendy's pens, which I totally understand, because any art material I can go on about because I enjoy it, let's be honest. So I think it really started when I first started colouring. I think I was bought this lovely calendar, obviously in 2020, as a Christmas gift, and I'd been working on that Christmas book, that cheap little Christmas book, and so yeah, receiving this was a really good timed present in that it kind of started me off onto my colouring journey. It's hit and miss what's in here, but I've enjoyed it and the process of it. It's all falling apart because I've worked on it a lot, but what I did realise pretty soon after I'd done a few months in this is that, right, some of this black lines is getting right on my nerves, and I don't want to see them all when I've done a nice pink pattern. I don't want like a massive, great big, thick black line around it. So even this early in my colouring, I kind of thought, no, I need something to go over the lines and make it a bit more interesting. And I think probably about here, what we on, August we're on, by the time I get to the butterfly. And by this point, as you can see, I have got some paint pens by this point to start rectifying it. I think this calendar, I'm trying to think what I coloured these with. I think early on they were possibly, I think I did have some Prismas at the beginning, but they're only a small set. I think they were 72 or something like that. And the lack of colours was getting on my nerves, and they were really expensive when I was working on this. So I think I got a second-hand set of Arrtx, so I think from here onwards or so it's my Arrtx set, I think. Anyway, I shall continue flipping through because it's not really about this calendar, but I did this calendar the first year I was colouring, and I really enjoyed it. And obviously the paint pens were, I feel like I've missed a page out there, have I? Yes, I have. I feel like the paint pens were, even at this point, something that I, like this page has a lot of paint pen, there's pretty much no black lines left on it, and that's how I do prefer my colourings to look as I've worked through. This was so tiny I probably didn't bother with a paint pen. And then the only page that I failed was December. I don't know what it was about these baubles, but I couldn't persuade myself to colour them in, but yeah. But I did the rest. So yeah, that was my starting off point in colouring, that decided, right, okay, I need some paint pens. So you make that decision, don't you? Right, I need some paint pens. And so you do a bit of reading, and then you buy some Poscas, don't you? Because that's what everybody suggests, what everybody says is the best one. And I was thinking, okay, I'm doing line work. I want to colour the line work in that calendar, so I'll get the smallest one they do. So the PC1R, the one with this little nibby thing. There was my first mistake, let's be honest. And I think I did buy a few. How many have I got in the... I've got, as you can see from my pot, I've still got quite a few of that size of pen. Used them for a while, but yeah, the yellow, this pale one, what colour is this? I should have put my glasses on before I started this video. Let me find them because I can't read it. My eyes are not playing ball. Sunshine yellow, that is quite small. But this one, as you can see, has exploded. It's dead, pretty much. I don't know why I keep it really, because it is a nice light colour. But these nibs, yeah, have drove me daft. So, obviously now I don't buy those. I buy PC1M, which has this nib on, which does just as fine line. And in some respects, I think this is a little bit more controllable, because these do tend to just suddenly release a bit of paint just when you hadn't expected it, whereas I don't find these ones do this. So over time, as these die, I am in the process of replacing them with the thicker one. In fact, I think that is my sunshine yellow replacement, because that one was driving me mad. But obviously Posca, they're great, they're a really good pen, they're reliable. A lot of these I've had for a long time now, since I bought that calendar. But the colour palette, and this is my old little swatch book, is, yeah, it's quite bright, isn't it? And obviously that little calendar that I was working on was quite natural things, flowers, the sea, autumn. And this palette it's very in your face, bright, and yeah, so it just wasn't really, they weren't the colours that I really needed, and particularly the greens. The greens are so kind of unnatural, that yeah, I was finding they were very, very frustrating. Let me get them out of the way, because I'm only going to knock them over. So, next thing I did, yeah, I bought one or two from Amazon, and as you can see from my page here, I did get the Tulia Art ones. Now these ones are the, I think it's Earth and Naturals, or Earth and Skin, or something like that, I think it was called. These aren't the pro ones. I noticed Shelley, when she did her video last week, she's got I think it's the same colour set, but it's not called the same thing anymore. Mine are definitely an older type, so they don't have any colour names on them. They don't have any numbers on. I think that the new ones have a little bubble of a colour and the number on the ends, don't they? Mine don't do that. Mine don't have the little window to... I feel a bit dark. Let me turn the lights up a little bit, because it's another miserable day here in the UK, and it is a little bit dark. That's a bit better, isn't it? So mine don't have any of the little windows. They are literally just a pen. I have myself, because this is how sad I am, as you can see with all of these, I've cut out some little circles from sticker paper, coloured it in, and then stuck it on, so that when I have them in my big pot, I could see what I was looking for. So I did get this full set of Tulia that I've got these really nice greens in, and they were really useful. I used them a lot on that little calendar. They were great. And I like them so much, but I kind of felt, right, I kind of want some more natural reds and better yellows, because I only really had these yellows and oranges. The orange in here, it's almost pinky orange, I think, the Posca one. So I did also get, which is the other thing on this page, a set of these ones, Artistro paint markers. Again, they look very similar to the Tulia Art ones. They've got pretty much a very similar lids, like they look pretty much the same to me, other than they have a clear barrel. They don't have the sealed barrel, and I've done the same. They didn't have any names or numbers, so I've done a little swatch on the top, so that again, when they were in there, I could tell which was the colour I actually wanted, what it was actually going to look like when it's dry, because I find that quite helpful when you're just rummaging through. And for pretty much a year, I would say, I used these loads. I really did use them a lot. They were great. The nibs on them are pretty good. They're both very similar nibs. Oh, I can get that off. There we go. Let's get that one off. And that one off. So they're very similar to the bigger of the Poscas that I've just shown. Don't know how easy they are to see. Oh, that's a little bit easier. Yeah, so they're pretty good nibs, but yeah, even though I was cleaning them fairly regularly, the problem I had with pretty much all of this box was just the drying out. So They worked beautifully to begin with, as you can see, but yeah, over time, that's pretty much what I'm ending up with for most of them, that they just don't work at all. When long term, that one's a little bit. They are savable. I have been I was pulling the nibs out completely, soaking the nibs, so you get them really wet and really give them a good scrub, because they are kind of plasticky nib, I think, really. I had a feeling these ones were felt, but now I've actually looked at them, I think these ones are a bit more felty, the Artistro ones, but I think these ones are the plasticky ones now I've looked at them. But even pulling them out, soaking them, you get it working a little bit, but then halfway through it keeps stopping, and yeah, sadly, I really loved this Tulia art set. I love the colour palette in them, but I just couldn't keep them working, and yeah, it's quite frustrating when you've spent money on something, isn't it, and it just doesn't carry on working. But obviously these have a pro version, and they've clearly made quite a few changes to them, and I think quite a few colourists have started to buy them again, so I'll be interested to see how they go with them long term. If they're still finding they're working long term, I may rebuy this Tulia art set, just because I do really love the colour palette in it. There's such a lovely selection of natural browns. The greens in them are really nice. I do really like them, and even some of this Artistro set that I got because I wanted more kind of pinks and oranges and a few of those in. I thought that was a good buy as well, and they're not too bad in terms of money. But yeah, sadly mine, I can't say I use them a huge amount now, just because I get a bit bored with the battle of keeping them working. If anybody's got any good tips on how to get these working back again and keep them working, I would be most interested, because like I say, I do really enjoy these ones and I like the colour palette a lot. So at this point, yeah, I was a bit kind of, fed up with them really in many respects, and so didn't really know what else to buy. So I did get a present. It's quite heavy. Let me just move it out of the way. Oh. Just drop my glasses on the dog. Hold on, I'm pausing. Sorry, I've just literally dropped my glasses on top of the dog. She wasn't too impressed. So last Christmas, my husband did buy me all of these. It weighs a ton. That's why I knocked everything off. Which are the, if I can get it the right way up again, Pigment Deco brush box of paint markers from Karen. So they're not the ink ones that you might have seen quite a bit, and these are on the internet quite a bit as well. You may have seen them on other artists' channels, but yeah, he bought me the full set of Pigment Deco brush last January, and as you can see, this has a really nice selection of colours. You've got pastels, nude, nature, basic, violet, passion and greys. And I was kind of like, okay, I really want to show these, but I thought, having had my experience with my Tulia art ones, I thought actually I don't think I am going to show them on YouTube, because I want to see how they actually go long term. Let me move them out of the way and I can get one tray out. Oh, this box is so heavy, and now it's in the way of the light, which is why it's gone dark. Let me shove it down there and you can get a bit of light back on the situation. There we go. So they come, the little boxes that are you just seen, come like this. So they're a little kind of envelope shape. They open up really nicely, and as you can see, they all sit inside, and they have this kind of, it's very similar to the foam that's in the luminance, that the luminance pencils come in. So it's that similar kind of quite condensed foam that really sits in, and you do have to keep these in these boxes so that they stay flat. They're designed to keep the pen at a very particular angle, so it's not completely flat like you would have on the desk. I think it's slightly tinted down towards the nib, so it keeps the paint touching the actual brush all the time. You do still have to shake these. They aren't like the Artex ones where you literally just can pick them up and use them. It is clear, like a few of the paint pens are, and obviously you can kind of see it. I don't find it's actually very easy to see where the ink is actually up to, because it tends to still coat the inside anyway. But yeah, they do still have a little ball in them. You do still have to shake them, and they have a little brush nib, and it is a really nice brush nib. If you've used the other inky Karen markers, what are those ones called? I can never remember. Brush Marker Pro, the other ones. These are very similar brushes, and they do make really lovely painty marks. But I thought I don't want to show these really till I see how they go long term, because these are an expensive pen. I can't say for a second that I would have bought these myself. They are expensive. Even just one tray of these is not a cheap investment. They aren't the easiest things to find, but they are. You can buy them in the UK. I'm sure you probably can buy them in other countries as well. I'll show you what's in each box. You'll see where I've had issues where I'm showing you the boxes. But this, I think, is a lovely set. Nature, I've used that quite a bit. Another of my favourite sets is the nudes, which are this one. So they've got some really nice pinks into some quite natural browns and cream tones. Another of my most favourite sets, pastel. Again, I've used quite a lot. Lovely selection of colours. Really nice. Trays I've not used as much. Basics. Basics has the white in. You will see there is a gap. I've probably not used these as much. These kind of remind me of my original set of Poscas in that the colours are, they're lovely, they're really bright, they're great if you're doing a poster or something very vivid, but they're not colours I tend to want to outline in much, but they are still really lovely. I don't tend to use that set as much as the others. Then there's violet blues. Again, really nice, some really nice tones of blue. I love the purples as well. And the last two, you've got a set they call Passion, which I think is basically colours that didn't fit in the other one. A kind of more tropical looking set. Again, some lovely, I've used this kind of limey green quite a bit actually. It's quite useful, and obviously some of the pink tones. I do like a bit of pink. What I'm probably guilty of not using so much, and this bottom one never wants to come out, I think it's because all the weight of the other ones sit on this drawer a bit. Grey colours. See, I've knocked everything. I've not get back over. Grey colours. Strangely has these greens in, and I always forget that these are in the grey set, but these are actually really nice natural greens, and then obviously some warmer and cooler greys that are in here as well. But you will notice the white was not in that set because it no longer works anymore. Sadly, totally and utterly dried out. The other one that I have a bit of an issue with, it's same as my Poscas really. I think I clearly use a lot of lemon colours, but this one, pastel lemon yellow, is hardly working, as you can see. There's plenty left in it. You can kind of hear there is still some paint in it. These advise the same. You can kind of soak the brushes in some water, and I have kind of got them going again a little bit like that, but this one, yeah, it used to be a lot stronger paint coming out of it. Now doesn't seem to be. I did an R about replacing this one and the white. The white was really nice when it was new, because these nibs are really juicy with paint. They don't drip, but they do, as you can see with the orange when I was doing that one, they do make really nice fine marks, and it's fairly opaque paint. I was really quite pleased with these, but sadly a couple of them are now not behaving. But these are all of the colours when they're dry in the individual sets, so you can kind of see I've swatched the boxes, and then I've got a little bit of a description about which box they're in. So when I want a particular colour, I do tend to come, hence why this is looking a bit battered. I use this a lot to find the colour that I want, and then I've got the box marking at the side of it, which box it's in, because obviously they live in their boxes all the time. And then I've just put my Poscas as an add-on on here, just to save me having to look back at somewhere else to see those. So, but yeah, pastel yellow, one of my faves, used it a lot. It's not it's a little bit lighter than the Sunshine Yellow that Posca have. So I did prefer using the pastel yellow, and they're lovely. They are lovely paints, but for the price, they should be lovely paints. I love the colours in them. They kind of, for a long time, I was like, yeah, this is my perfect set of pens. I never need any more pens ever again, because look, they're amazing, and they are. They're lovely pens. I'm just not sure they're worth the price, because I've had a few that are not working brilliantly, even though I've completely done as I was told with them, kept them in the drawers, kept them flat, rinsed the nibs out when they're starting to look like they're a little bit dry. Yeah, it's just a bit frustrating when you've got a couple that aren't quite working. But like I say, I've used the white a lot, I've used the pastel yellow a lot, so maybe I'm being a little unfair. The others are all working really nicely, and I really enjoy some of these limes, the apple, the leaf. They're really lovely colours, and these kind of more darker green tones that are in with that grey set are really lovely. You want a pastel colour, these have just got such a nice selection of lighter, softer tones when you just want an edge to a flower or something along those lines. This set I find really, really useful. But yeah, the fear of having to replace any of them kind of puts me off using it a little bit now and again. But yeah, I have these as well, and obviously they are great pens, but they are a considered purchase. I totally get that most people will go and have a look how much they cost and then keel over and die of shock. I would as well if I had to replace them. But yeah, they paint lovely. They're really good pens in that it's quite a dry paint and it sits quite flat on your paper, so it is quite easy to colour back over them if you literally just want to get rid of something and then work over. These pens do that really well for me, better than any of the other pens that I use, because the paint is a bit more opaque but it sits very flat. You can colour over it and get away with it without it looking like, oh, you've coloured over some paint there, because sometimes it really shows up. With my Poscas I find you can really see where you've done that, whereas these don't so much. But yeah, I'm just going to pause and move this tub of pens because it weighs so much. I'll be back. Ooh, that's better. Which then obviously leads me to what I think is some of the best buys in acrylic paint pens out there at the moment. I think I bought this one first, and I wasn't overly expecting much really, because obviously I've had all of those pens, I've had ups and downs with all of them, and thought, yeah, there's going to be something that I don't get along with, whether it be the dry out, whether it be the nib splits, whether it be the colours are a bit kind of odd looking, because sometimes that can be the case. And I bought the pastel set because, as you can see, I use a lot of pastels. I use those pastel pens a lot, and I wasn't really thinking these would be that great, but yes, they could be better. They could have names on, they could have better colour matches with their lids. I don't love this as a storage. Sometimes I find they just don't want to go back in these boxes. They don't quite fit. It's quite a tight fit in this box, but I do really love them. I think the colours are really nice in them, and I've used them loads. This set is waterproof, this kind of pastel, what do they actually call these ones? Because they don't call them pastels, do they? Water-based brush tip, bright and opaque. The 30 set anyway. I think these ones are actually waterproof when they're dry, unlike the 32. I think these were the first ones that came out, weren't they? But I didn't buy these straight away. I bought these after I had the waterproof ones. The fact these ones aren't waterproof doesn't make any difference to me. I still find these really useful. I quite like that these ones are double-sided, that obviously you've got the little brush on one end and the little nib on the other. I've used these a lot as well so far. I have not had one problem with these. I've had no issues with the brushes. I've had no issues with any of them drying out. I think I bought these towards the beginning of summer, I think. They'll be on one of my videos somewhere. I've used this set in particular an awful lot. Most colourings that I've done over the last 6 months, I've used these on, and so a lot of these colours have had quite a bit of use. I'm only using them on details. I'm not doing any big areas with them, so I'm probably not getting through as much of the kind of liquid paint that's in these, but they've lasted, and I don't think they're a bad buy in terms of price for how long they've lasted me and how they've kept working. And so when I spotted these ones popping up, yeah, I've thought, yeah, do you know what, I will have some more of those because I've been enjoying using them. So this is a bit of a messy page, apologies, but yeah, my original pastels, these ones, are this chunk on my book, and I think I just did a little bit of black alcohol ink in each of these little swatch boxes just to see how opaque they were over the darker swatches, and I don't think they're too bad. Yes, sometimes if I really want to cover something up, it's taking more than one coat, but these dry pretty quick. By the time you've got round to drawing and back to the beginning, it's dry enough to put a second layer on anyway most of the time. The colours are, they definitely are quite pale, but I quite like them. I don't love the greens. They're okay, these greens, but they're not, there isn't a really nice kind of grassy green, leaf green. They're a very particular type of green, I think, that's sometimes I do go back to my my big set that you've just been looking at for greens in particular, and oranges is the other section that I find myself going back to. This one is, oh no, that's not that. Where have I put the other ones? That's the new ones that I've just done. Are they on there? No, they're not Poscas. I don't think I've swatched the can't think I didn't swatch them. I must have done them on something else. These I can't see to hand where I've swatched them, but the bottom bit on here is this new little set that I've just got. So they've added in, as you can see, some nice greens, another orange, which I'm really pleased about because I didn't love the orange out of this set, and the orange out of the pale one it's more of a peach than an orange, so it kind of did feel like it was missing a good orange, and a couple of yellows are always helpful. They've added a few more purples, which again, this set didn't really have a great chunk of purples in. A darker pink, always useful, and a softer blue, which again, I think these are a little bit similar, but I think they're both usable. So I was quite pleased with how this looks, and all together, if I can reach, this is now what all of my black boxed Artex now look like. Let me shift that out of the way. Something else just avoidedly hitting the dog. So yeah, these two sets together now look like this as a swatch, but on the back of this new one, this one, it did say it had 63 because these are numbered. The black ones listed in the box. 63 does not exist in this box. Instead you have a 66, which is in this box, so it rather messed up my sheet because then I had to add in one, but I'd already written 63, so Artex, don't you know what pens you're putting in your own boxes? It was a bit annoying, but I do like it as a palette. I think now it's kind of, you've got a little bit of everything going on, and I've put these in their own number order, so this is the two boxes mixed together, which gives quite a nice selection of colours now. Obviously the downside of these is you can't buy them single stock. When either one of these run out, you're going to have to buy the whole 32 or the whole 24 added into it to fill back up your colour holes. This one gives you a new white and a new black in this set, but obviously I had those in here, and then I've also got a white in this one. So yeah, I use white a lot. Probably we'll all use white a lot, won't we? So it's not the end of the world. I probably didn't need another black. I've hardly used the black in this one. I don't use black very often for obvious reasons. I'm not colouring up a black line with a black pen, am I? So I don't tend to use these brushes, the black one, at all, really, if I'm honest. So I'd have rather had another colour in this one, Artex, rather than the black. But you know, it's minor, isn't it? I like the purples. I definitely like the greens. I'll use those a lot. I like the yellows. I like the orange. It needed a good orange. And I quite like these little tealy greens that they've added in as well. I thought they were really quite nice. But I think it makes a really nice colour palette all in all. And without a doubt, I use these the most out of all of my paint markers. These are my first reach to. If I want a pen, these are the sets that I pull out first. Purely because they're just cost effective. I'm using a pen, it doesn't matter to me how much I use of it, because they're not going to cost me the earth to replace. I wish they were refillable, I suppose. It's a lot of plastic, isn't it? So far, I've not run any of these out, so I haven't thrown any of these away. But at some point, that is going to happen, isn't it? This whole plastic body, it's nicely made. It would be nice to be able to just fill it again by the whatever this is that's in here. I'm guessing it's some kind of acrylic ink that's in here that's just a little bit more opaque than perhaps you would put in a normal type of pen, because it's not normal paint, is it? It's something in between, isn't it? It's somewhere between an ink and a paint. But I think my Deco ones are a bit like that as well. They're a little bit more towards paint than ink, but they're still on that kind of journey between paint and ink. But either way, these are one of my most favourite supplies. These, I think, are a really great buy. I really like my Deco art ones as well. My Deco brush. Let me grab one. I really like these as well. Are these better? Are these better? There are definitely some colours in my Deco brush that are not in here. Obviously, some colour palettes are going to be harder to produce, aren't they? And Karen do produce a beautiful product. It is lovely. The presentation is lovely. The whole package is really nice. As you can see, they all have a little swatch here in the lid. I haven't done that because I have that all on one sheet. These are expensive to replace per pen. It's not easy to find every single colour of these. I noticed when I was looking for the white, there were a few places that had some of the basic sets, so you could buy the white and a couple of the others quite easily. But when you want these more tricky colours, they weren't as easy to get hold of. Obviously, these are really easy to get hold of. Your friendly Amazon seller will bring you them tomorrow, no doubt. So yeah, you've got to choose how much you want to pay, really, isn't it? That's what it comes down to. I like these. They're cheap to use. They're doing the job for me. I will still use my nice ones as well, but I'm kind of keeping them for best, if you know what I mean, because I'll be too scared to have to replace them. So I keep using the cheap ones. But yeah, I don't know if that's useful or just annoying to watch. You can let me know. What do you think? Maybe you found some markers that are better and you think I should have a look at those. Always interested to find out. But yeah, this is my overview of the paint markers that I've used and abused and run out and destroyed. All of them have been great. All of them I've used a lot. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.